Thank you, Annette. That was wonderful and beautiful. Thank you all for joining us today, and welcome to the Humboldt Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, which we like to call HUUF. My name is Scarlett Tripsmith, and I will be your technical liaison for today. If this is your first time joining us, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We are so happy that you found us, and we hope that you feel surrounded with grace and comfort and connection here. Because even though we all come from different places, different religions, and different backgrounds, we all can connect on some level or another. Now today we ask that if you feel comfortable, please keep your cameras turned on so we can see all of your gorgeous, beautiful faces emanating towards us. As well as you can see, you are muted. However, later in the service, we will be having some breakout rooms, as well as our virtual coffee hour where you will be able to converse with your fellow congregants. And as a part of our UU tradition, we like to take part in the sharing and holding of the joys and sorrows that weigh on our congregation's hearts. So in this space, I hope that you feel comfortable to share with us and let us hold you for what's really weighing on you today. So if you would like to send your joys, sorrows, or celebrations to Amy Day in the chat, that would be lovely. Thank you so much, Amy, for holding that space for us today. Now, today's service, you are in for a treat. We have a guest speaker, Wendy Rowan, who's going to bless us with some meaningful sermon and conversation, and to really get us thinking about what it means to really nurture the wonder inside of ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So during these times when we cannot safely meet in person, these services are our way of connecting and continuing to keep the mission of our congregation alive. So, and we in our congregation, we are committed to fighting for the worth and dignity of every person in our community and out. Today, we want to acknowledge and really honor that the land that we live on is a traditional home of the Wiyot people. And we want to remind ourselves that we must put our words and our principles into action for the justice of the common good. So good morning, welcome, it's Sunday. Let us wake up to this world, to its beauty, to its wonder, to this beautiful sunny day that we have outside. Let's wake up, let's stay awake, and let's stay woke, as our colleagues in the Black Matters Live say. So together, we can pledge action to transcend barriers, be they racial, political, economic, or religious. So we welcome you and thank you for sharing your amazing presence with us today. And now, in this time, in this place, I would like to introduce Jasmine O'Dowd for our chalice lighting. Thank you so much.
Okay, here you go, light it.
Today I'll be reading Lessons by Lenore Hetrick. Does each small plant teach you a lesson? Does each tree tell you a tale? If you will stop your game and listen, they will speak to you without fail. The little plant will teach you a lesson of importance of very small things. Each creature and plant has its place on earth, each stone and each bird that sings. The little plant lives for but a day, with the seasons passing it goes, and yet it lived and served its purpose, a purpose just nature knows. The tree comes slowly from out the earth, for as long years to live, many decades its fresh green shade, to children the tree will give. You may be gone while the tree grows on. Others will enjoy its beauty. The tree that spreads out reaches the sky for such a great tree's duty. That is the lesson, that is the tale, a plant and a tree will tell. But if you will but stop your hurried playing and listen softly and well.
We come together to remind ourselves to treat all people kindly because they are our siblings, to take good care of the earth because it is our home, to live lives full of goodness and love, and that is how we will make our world the best place it can be.
Good morning, everyone. If we have not formally met, my name is Amy Day. I am serving right now as the Fellowship Engagement Coordinator for HUUF. And one of my very, very joyful duty isn't really the right word. One of the joyful tasks or things that I get to do here at the fellowship is to engage with our families. And so I'm smiling more than normal on a Sunday, and maybe you are too, just because we're seeing more younger faces with us today, because I know typically on a Sunday morning, they're done Zooming. So Wendy Rowan, who will be speaking to us later today, she had this wonderful idea to bring our kids and our families back into the service. And so you'll see some live children here with us today, and you'll see some recordings that they put together for us as well. So thank you, everyone, for your wonderful contributions. Thank you, kids, for being here with us today. And thank you to all of you for joining us. So it is now, at this moment, I would like to introduce, you just had the pleasure of seeing Amaya and Hiroka, who do such a wonderful job every Sunday at our RE gathering of leading us through our kind of children's aspiration, if you will, just to remind us of why we actually come together and what is the purpose of this gathering. And so now it is my pleasure just to slightly, and we have both a puppet show for all ages from Jack Miller with a little help from his dad, Montana, and also a story from Cadence Fitzmaurice. So I will hand it over to Scarlett to share that next bit with us. Thanks.
And now presenting HUUF Theater.
How about we go to the food and go get some fresh vegetables? Okay, let's go. Below the big cheese, the fancy burritos, the spicy hot cherry bomb cheese, and then some hot lettuce burritos. Yum. Wait, no. Get away from me. How about we go? For a swim in the water? Okay.
The end.
What's it sound?
Good morning, everyone. Jack, that was so wonderful. I loved seeing that. Thank you so much. So Wendy, thank you for inviting the children to participate. It was exciting to get that invitation. Cadence and I selected a book. I'm gonna switch the cameras here. It's called Out of Wonder, and it's a collection of poems celebrating revolutionary poets, and it is written by Kwame Alexander, Chris Colderly, and Marjorie Wentworth. And these three poets picked the poets who have inspired them in their lives and wrote poems for inspirational poets that created wonder in their lives and helped them connect to nature, to spirit, to joy. This poem is called Spin a Song, and it is celebrating Rumi, written by Marjorie Wentworth, read by Kaden.
Walk out of your room beneath the morning sky. Let the sun enter your heart and find a way to keep it there. Make a song from light falling through the air. And dance when you are alone. Dance if you are still sad. Dance when you are tired. Dance until your feet lift off the ground like wings. And later, when the stars are spinning in the night, put your ear to the ground and listen to the songs rising up from the earth. Everywhere you go, there is music.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cadence. And I just wanted to give a brief shout out actually to Scarlett. I don't know if you noticed the fabulous subtitles in that puppet show, but it's a testament to her great relationship with our kids. She speaks fluent Jack. I had a hard time upon first listening of that, just with the car noises and everything. And Scarlett did such a beautiful job listening, and she just understands our kiddos so well that she was able to decipher every single word. So thank you, Scarlett, for enhancing that experience for us. I want to invite you now, one of our, I'm seeing some in the chat already, some of our joys and sorrows coming to me. So I want to invite you to continue to send those to me, whatever's on your heart, whatever is present for you. We want to hold you in that space today. So continue to send those to me. And now, as you send those, I will invite you to sit back and enjoy this piece from Sam West. Thank you, Sam. It's really exciting to see how many talented people we have in our midst, how many talented younger people too. So thank you all for sharing your gifts with us today. So now we want just to take a breath. And let's go ahead and just take a moment together just to acknowledge everything that is present in our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our communities, and beyond. And so I want to begin by reading from the top here what you all have sent to me. So I have one from the Taroka family. This is a joy. We went to a new place at the Malel Dunes yesterday and had a wonderful time. And happy spring, everyone. This is a chance we actually get to go and do some of this stuff a little bit more with slightly fewer jackets. From Jack, we're celebrating our adoption of a new cat named Paul. Awesome. Congratulations, Jack and family. From Birdie, Our hearts go out to the victims and families of the victims in Atlanta and to all the Asian persons who are subject to hate and mistreatment. Thank you, Birdie, for lifting that up. And I want to just put forth that we are, in fact, having a vigil, to my understanding, at HUUF today at 4, where you can come and just stand in solidarity and witness to what is happening in our country, to the Asian American community. So if you want to join us, there'll be a time to talk about that after the service. But thank you for acknowledging that. From Linda Alm, please send energy to my sister Christine. She appreciates all that's been sent so far. Thank you, Linda. From Therese Fitzmaurice, yesterday as I gathered flowers and arranged them, I was grateful for the magical flower arranging workshops Wendy offered to a small group of children, including Cadence. That gift continues to bloom in our lives. Thank you. From Chip Sharp, thank you to Sina Marino and John Schaefer for helping to display the Black Lives Matter and HUUF banners yesterday from noon until 1:30 at 4th and V Streets in Eureka. Thank you to everyone, Chip, for spearheading this most of all, and for everyone who shows up week after week to be that presence. We really appreciate your energy there. From Joanne Huffman, Steve Satong completed his second shot yesterday. He's looking forward to being able to be freer. I think that sentiment is amongst many of us. From Debbie and Greg, congrats and thanks to the Ministerial Search Committee for a job well done. We thank you. We look forward to what this next phase of our fellowship will look like with the new incoming minister. From the Taroka family, Amaya and Orion have been busy making origami cranes for this afternoon's vigil, sponsored by HUUF and Humble Asian and Pacific Islanders. Thank you. Kate McLean, such grief for the murdered Asian Americans. So grateful that Teriyuki has initiated the vigil today. From Kim Tripp Smith, happy born day anniversary to my daughter, Scarlett. My birthday girl means everything to me, her mom. And so we celebrate you, Scarlett. We know you had a birthday this last week. And so we are so grateful that you're here with us and that you exist. And that is all I can see. So I want to just take one final stone and add it into the pool, the collective pool here that holds our joys, our sorrows, our concerns, everything that we come with. We acknowledge that this is a sacred space. We co-create it and we bring the fullness of who we are, the whole spectrum of our humanity. And so we place one final stone into the bowl as a way to hold us and acknowledge all that is still within our hearts, minds, and bodies, but remains unsaid. So I want to invite you now just into a moment of stillness and contemplation, just to let all of that, the whole spectrum, the beauty, the tragedy, and everything in between, just to sit within your being, breathe into it, and hold yourself and one another collectively in this space. And along with that, we'll have a moment with a little bit more music from Kara West. I'm seeing so many smiling faces. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, all of you, for sharing. And I'm just going to pop in this last time just to introduce a familiar face to all of us. Wendy Rowan is a longtime member of our fellowship. She is currently serving on the RE committee. She has been a huge proponent of this wonderful, I guess pun intended, wonderful playscape project that she wants to tell you a little bit more about today. And she has spent a lot of her years as an adult advocating for childhood development and helping to improve the lives of children in our community. So I am very honored and excited to have her speak and share her words with us today. So without further ado, Wendy, welcome. Thank you.
What is play exactly? Why do we play? Why do our children play? Why do animals play? When you see dogs playfully roughhousing, or dolphins joyously leaping out of the water, what is going on? I'd venture to say that the spirit of play flowing through us is the energetic joy of the universe manifesting through our beings in uplifts of cosmic energy. It is the universe itself, excited to be alive through the living, breathing us and our children and our dogs. Play is joy. Play is flow. Play is deep. Play has no purpose other than being and becoming. I read once that humans are the otters of the universe. And like otters, we are meant to play. We are meant for joy. We are meant for freedom. And with the right ingredients, time, space, and materials, we play. Our children play. Our dogs play. Wake up to find out that you are the eyes of the world, sang Jerry Garcia. We are also the players of the world. Play is the design of our consciousness and bodies to explore, pretend, share, imagine, and create. Don't worry about worksheets for your children. That system wasn't part of the intelligent design of our biology. Our internal system is programmed with a plan to play. And through play, children discover the world and themselves in it. They test their boundaries and imagine new worlds. When we adults see that, when we remember our own natural childhoods and the moments that made us, when we can actually take deep breaths and trust that the greater system knows what it's doing, then we can learn to let our children play and support their play and be amazed by their play.
Good morning, and a big thanks to Rusty Keeler. Rusty is a longtime advocate and leader within the nature-based play movement, and I'm really pleased to be here this morning to talk about the project here on the fellowship grounds. There's a lot of excitement in the Religious Education Committee, or as we refer to it, the RE Committee. Plans were developed a number of years ago by a former member of the fellowship, Virginia Chatfield. Virginia, by profession, was a landscape designer, and she consulted with the RE director at that time and a number of folks in the community with expertise in these kinds of play settings and in healthy child development. So we're using that as a framework to proceed with this project here at the fellowship. Now, different terms are used to describe these kinds of play areas. You may hear the phrase naturescaping, outdoor classroom, natural play space. For this presentation, I'm going to use the term nature-based play space. And essentially, the philosophy underlying these play spaces are to give children, an opportunity to interact in the natural world and be able to engage with it and other children in a safe and lively way. Let's just put it that way. I'd like to give you kind of a sense visually of what we're talking about here. And so Scarlett is going to help us by showing a few slides. So Charlotte, could you bring up the first slide for us, please? Now, this is a drawing of what we're considering for the space outside the RE classroom. And as I said before, it's really just kind of a framework for us. But you can see there's a lot of diversity there, different ways that children could conceivably play in a natural setting. Can we have the next slide, Scarlett? These are examples of some of the kinds of features that you would see in a nature-based play space. This is a willow tunnel, and hopefully we'll be planting one soon on the fellowship grounds. Next slide. These, as you can see, are climbing structures, different ways for children to actively play outside with each other. Next slide, please, Scarlett. This is a musical element, and this is really a unique feature of these spaces. And as we all know, music has been a really important part of this fellowship ever since its inception. And the notion of having a play space outside such as this that includes a musical element is really exciting. And then our last slide, Scarlett. This is one of my favorite parts of a playscape, and you can see the language up there, loose parts play. And essentially loose parts are found objects, natural objects that children can use to draw upon their creativity in a natural environment. So that gives you a little visual sense of what we're talking about in regard to the play space that we're seeking to develop here at the Fellowship for Children and Families. So I want to get into why does such a space, why should we do one here at the Fellowship? What is it? How does it relate to our values and principles? So I'm going to start with our principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Given the history of this fellowship's care for the environment and the current engagement of many members in addressing the challenge of climate change, our community practices an understanding of how we are connected to life forms, all life forms, residing here on Mother Earth. Our respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are all a part, I suspect for many of us, that connection began early in our life through play in a natural environment. I know for myself, I was very privileged to have these kinds of experiences. As some of you know, I was born and raised not far from here. My childhood was spent in the Mattole Valley. My house was on a hill above the Mattole River, bordered by a creek that ran down a canyon from the King's Range. My home was surrounded by oak trees, which the result was an abundance of acorns to play with. I would make piles of them. I would sort them. I would glue them together to make creatures. And yes, repeatedly, I would break them open to taste them and consistently learned over time that they were much too bitter for my palate. There were trails through the woods near my home that I explored endlessly. Once, when I was very young, I discovered a patch of irises. And I was amazed. I was amazed how beautiful they were. I was amazed that I found them. And at that moment, they felt like a very special gift just for me. My brother and I had many adventures in our natural world growing up. The creek was an endless source of fun. We were always, excuse me, moving rocks to make secure stepping stones so that we could cross the creek. And we'd fall in and our feet would get wet. And this was a very uneven kind of activity to do. And child development folks tell us that children really need uneven surfaces to play on, to kind of develop their coordination and their balance and kind of sense of actually being grounded in the earth. At the base of the road to our house was a giant, I mean giant, maple tree. And in the fall, the school bus would drop us off there and we would hide an old rake behind this tree and we would rake all the leaves into a big pile. And then we would run up the bank of the road beside the tree and we'd get to a certain little point and we would jump off the road into the pile of leaves below. Now, we would do this several times before walking home every day in the fall. And this was a routine for us for many, many years. Play in a natural setting nurtures an understanding of connection to place and wonder at what presents itself. There are opportunities for learning, creating, and if you're lucky, it becomes a part of you. An RE program objective, create a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world by creating opportunities to be present with nature and its mysteries, is well aligned with the philosophy of a nature-based play space. The creation of such a space on fellowship grounds for our children and families will provide increased opportunities for cooperative versus competitive play. Being present in nature over time allows children to witness and question the changes that occur, generating an appreciation for the natural world and hopefully a desire to care for it. John Rosenow, Chief Executive for the Arbor Day Foundation and longtime advocate for nature-based play spaces, states, "We need to help children learn to love the earth before we can ask them to save it." I'm going to say that again, because I think that statement so resonates with a lot of what this fellowship is about. We need to help children learn to love the earth before we can ask them to save it. The RE committee is focused on developing a play space where children can cooperatively interact with natural materials, physically explore the outdoors, and use all their senses to connect with what grows, lives, and breathes here on a corner of the fellowship's grounds. So let's go back to my acorns, irises, creek, and a giant maple tree. My play with acorns from a nature-based play space perspective is commonly described as play with loose parts. And you saw an image of that earlier. Loose parts are simply natural materials that are available to you, what you find in your environment. And this kind of play stimulates the imagination and involves problem solving. The play with my brother in the creek and jumping into piles of leaves is an example of cooperative and physical interaction, resulting in bonding and an understanding of the seasons. We could not play in the creek in the winter the way we could in the summer. There was a short window of opportunity in the fall to plunge into the color and crunch of maple leaves. discovery of something unknown before, like the iris patch I found, is pure wonder and encourages reflection. So, given the vision of the nature-based play space, leadership is needed to create and sustain it. Research and experience within the nature-based play movement show that successful sites have a shared leadership model in place, and that the effort is not reliant on one person. The RE committee has provided oversight for efforts to date, but the Building and Grounds Committee and the board have an important role to play in this project. Parents and teachers are essential for the development of the space and supporting children's interactions within the space. So leadership for creating and sustaining such a play space must be a collective and committed undertaking over time. Teachers need to be supported to facilitate children's experiences within a nature-based play space. They should receive training early in the process of developing the space so that they can effectively contribute to its creation and envision how to nurture children within it. Teachers must share a common understanding of safe risk and also a common and shared expectations about interacting in this natural setting. The unique interests, skills, and needs of teachers should be identified to relate their work to the play space. Regular opportunities for teachers to discuss their experiences and insights should be provided. The link between HUUF's values and principles with the play space should be consistently articulated to support and inspire teachers. And regularly celebrating accomplishments is also necessary for sustaining a thriving nature-based play space. Now, fellowship families are already engaged with developing this play space for their children. Parents and extended family member involvement is essential for this kind of project to blossom. Interests and skills should be considered to encourage volunteerism, and regular communication with families about the success and needs of the space is important. Parents should be as comfortable in the nature-based play space as the children are. And I'm going to say that one again. Parents should be as comfortable in the nature-based play space as the children are. These spaces can be very supportive of family life, providing opportunities for parents to interact with their children in a natural setting, away from the usual demands of everyday life. They often are an example of a father-friendly environment, which can be very helpful for families. And I'm very pleased that there are some dads on the RE committee, and their input is valuable. Building community is fundamental to the life of the fellowship, and the creation of this play space will contribute to that. A network of volunteers and partners is necessary for creating and sustaining it, and a focus on a project like this, grounded in shared values and principles, can be inspiring and naturally build connections and community. It will be important to provide an orientation for those involved and regularly communicate with them for the success of the project. Recognizing and celebrating volunteers and partners for their contributions will nurture a strong community associated with the play space. So how do we foster taking care of such a play space like this over time? And this is part of our endeavor. It isn't just creating it. You can see that it's potentially a very dynamic and could be a very dynamic part of our fellowship life. In the development of such a play space, it will be wise to choose low maintenance plants and materials. Our nature-based play space was designed with native plants in mind, and that should be helpful Adopting a maintenance plan that includes clearly articulated timelines, responsibilities, and budgets is fundamental. Identifying maintenance tasks appropriate for children, teachers, volunteers, and professionals, as well as maintaining a posted list of maintenance and material needs should be put in place. So what about the kids in the development and maintenance of a nature-based play space? Well, in the creation and sustaining of such a place, children are the experts. Observing how they play and engage with the space for clues on how to improve it over time will be important. Children's imaginations often yield rich results, and they come up with things adults would never think of. For example, locally, a nature-based play space at Mad River Montessori preschool here in Arcata encouraged the input of students. And Robin Renshaw was the director at the time. And in listening to them, the children said, well, we want a river. Now, a lot of adults would immediately think, well, how do we do a river in a play space like this? But Robin was not shy about responding to her students. And so she said, sure, we'll do that. And the parents brought in river rocks, and they created a dry riverbed with the central feature of a wooden boat. Now children jump the river, stroll along the riverbank, and go wherever their imaginations take them in a wooden boat. Now I would like to give you an opportunity to use your imagination. We're going to take 5 minutes for you all to reflect upon an early experience, one of your early experiences with play in nature. So sit back, get comfortable, close your eyes, and draw up an image of yourself playing outside. Are you by yourself or with others? Are you using found objects? Are you physically interacting or quietly observing something? Be aware of how you felt and any senses that were particularly stimulated. Scarlett will provide an opportunity for sharing your experiences via our technical support.
I got it from crawling along in the dirt and biting 2 buttons off Jeremy's shirt. I got it from chewing the roots of a rose and digging for clams in the yard with my nose. I got it from peeking into a dark cave and painting myself like Navajo brave. I got it from playing with coal in a bin and signing my name in cement with my chin. I got it from rolling around on the rug and giving the horrible dog a big hug. I got it from finding a lost silver mine and eating sweet blackberries right off the vine. I got it from ice cream and wrestling and tears, and from having more fun than I've had in years.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And thank you, Wendy, for sharing the scope and the vision of this project. I want to just give a shout out also to all of our parents and the Playscape team that has been meeting regularly to put so much energy and vision and planning behind this. If you are excited about this and want to get involved, We will be meeting this coming Saturday at HUUF, masked and hand sanitizer and all the good stuff, from 10 to noon to stake out kind of all the different elements. We'll have pictures, images up of all the different components and some of our ideas that we're working with. And Birdie, wonderful Birdie, has put together a very large model, working model that we're working with to kind of get the full fleshed out design. So we invite you to come take a look. If you want to get involved, learn more, we would love to have you. So that's next Saturday on the 27th. Just a really, really wonderful way to just start to plant the seeds of coming back together and creating a really, really rich cooperative space for us to be in together. So for now, I want to just leave you with these words by the poet Joy Harjo. And she writes, "Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life too. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origins of the universe. Remember you are all people and all people are you. Remember all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember language comes from this. Remember the dance languages that life is. Remember. And so as we leave this time and move into our more open-ended dance party and coffee hour, I want to invite you just to hold hands collectively, virtually across your screen, linking your energy, your heart, your intentions, your actions to this community here. It's going to bring up a little video, actually, or a little recording of a beautiful, this is what, if you recall, way back when, this is how we used to sing the kids out of the service. And so we'll sing ourselves out as well. Thank you all for being here today.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you. May this song of love surround you. May this song of love surround you. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you. May this song of love surround you. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May this song of love surround you. Gently dance the streams. Merrily, 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 merrily. Thine now is but a dream. Now in peace. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. Life is but a dream.
Thank you, everyone. Shalom, assalamu alaikum. and blessed be. Ashe, Aho. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's unmute everybody.
Die on us. Get some oxygen.
Oh, there's humanity.
I want to see the celebrities this week. Jenny, where's Tip? Our local celebrities.
Celebrities?
Yeah, they were on PBS national telecast on Friday night. Featured. Here we are.
Don't they never go bad?
Is Jenny there?
They never go bad because it's bad, right?
There's Jenny. Congratulations, Jenny. I saw you on PBS Friday night.
Oh, thank you. That's right. I saw her. Yeah. Yeah. There were a lot of people, local people. Do you know a bunch of those people? It was like circles within circles for me. It was like, wow. When I met some new people, it was very cool. I thought, yeah. Oh, while I'm talking, I'm not talking, but I am now. How about a new word? It's called maxinate. And that is when you've taken 2 shots and you've had 2 weeks after your second shot. You are now maxinated. I love it. I think because we need that celebration at the end of the 2 weeks afterwards. There's no, the big deal is being jabbed in the arm, but the big thing is 2 weeks later. So they want to vaccinate.
Second. How many of us have been vaccinated?
Yeah, vaccinated. Oh yes. Lovely.
I'm waiting.